Earlier, stand-up comedian Meryl O'Rourke came in and we talked about what does or doesn't happen on the circuit, including when a reputation of unacceptable behaviour takes hold.
It did and didn't surprise me. It didn't surprise me because being a contemporary of Russell Brand's, I was approached in 2020 to ask if I had any stories while they were collecting evidence. But it did surprise me because it's so unusual that any of these stories actually do come to fruition and somebody does actually get called out for their behaviour.
So, to be clear, you had no negative experiences personally.
No, I never met him.
Absolutely. I mean, but in general and with others, I mean, Nish Kumar has said it's an open secret that there are predators on the comedy scene. Do you think that's a fair characterisation?
I think there are predators in every industry. I think in the comedy scene, quite often people don't really know what to do with us. So, for instance, we don't have stage doors like theatres do. Banter is encouraged and sometimes crosses a line. We're allowed to drink at work. Some people have even done drugs at work. So it's not really treated like The Office. And people do get very confused as to what's acceptable and what isn't acceptable. Which, you know, as a grown adult, I find a bit odd because we're colleagues. A lot of us have worked in offices before. And I think sometimes that feeds into the behaviour. A lot of people leave offices to want the decadent lifestyle of the comedy world. But actually, with Russell Brand in particular, he was on the comedy circuit for a very short time. He was picked up by television very early. And I feel I should also say that a lot of people in the comedy circuit are feeling a spotlight on us when actually all of the reports that have come out have been his behaviour in the TV industry and in Hollywood.
So when one hears stories about there being lists of shame, of, you know, find yourself in a dressing room with this man, or is that apocryphal, or do you think there's substance to that?
There are, like with any walk of life, there are different WhatsApp groups and different Facebook groups that different people are in. I actually choose not to be in those WhatsApp groups because I find the discussions quite difficult. I have named people and been greeted with a wall of, oh, but he's so nice. And at the same time, seen people I really like being called out for things that I personally don't find predatory, but other people do. Also, it can be quite negative for the women that aren't included in those WhatsApp groups. This constant talk of a list. There are a lot of women thinking, well, why haven't I seen the list? I don't think there is a list in particular. We do have conversations with each other. We double check with each other. Oh, I saw you gigged with him. Was he creepy with you like he was with me?
And in terms of, I guess, the kind of humour that was around, particularly in the noughties, I mean, people characterise it as laddish or sexually charged. I mean, you were presumably doing similar humour from a female perspective.
I mean, we've always called it laddish, but being a woman, we had sexual agency. It was a time of very big and encouraged sexual agency. OK, so
you're out there doing similar kind of material. OK, well, tell me if that's wrong.
It was the Spice Girls times. I used to wear crop tops and fluff out my hair and be very honest and open. And people would say, well, you can't be sexy on stage because people won't laugh at that. And yet the men were encouraged to be very sexual on stage.
And off stage, were there double standards in terms of behaviour?
Yes. Yes, I guess so. I was single when I started on the comedy circuit. People would ask me out. Quite often they would be surprised if I said no because I talked about sex on stage, because that's one thing some people find confusing. That this is your mind, why doesn't it match up with what your body is doing? You know, they're two separate things.
A lot of people just say, well, you know, that was the noughties and maybe it wasn't as bad as the 70s or 80s, that there's been a sense of progress in a sense. Do you buy that? Or do you think these challenges are still there for female comedians every day, even now?
I would say, first of all, it's not just for female comedians. There have been male comics who've named male predators in our circles. I think, if anything, with social media, it's kind of been perpetuated. What people forget about comedians is we're not only talents that make people laugh, we're also colleagues.
Meryl O'Rourke.